Greetings once again. Today's focus is on 5 tips now that the configurator for the Model 3 is available. Greeting, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. I was intrigued because we seem to be at round 2 of just about to get the configurator going and delivery starting for the Model 3. The current, well, first of all, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. The Geisha states, Zdravstvuyte. This is your first time viewing our videos. Please like and subscribe and hit the bell, and you'll get notifications whenever we have new stuff coming out. And I think you'll be impressed by what we're delivering over the next couple of months. So now that we're in Model 3 configuration territory, there are 5 things that you might want to consider. So it's not just a simple matter of roll up on there and get it done. You actually have some homework to do to optimize the process. So your options are many, or are small in number, but the implications could be large based on the options you choose. So the first item that I'd like to recommend that you consider is that the color of the vehicle. So it turns out that it's no extra cash if you get the black vehicle, but it's $1,000 extra for the other colors. I think you really want to think through this carefully for one important reason. There's 330-mile range with the extended range vehicle that's coming in. One of the challenges that occurs, particularly if you live in a very warm climate, is that the car's skin runs 20 degrees hotter with a black car than it does with a white car. So as a result, both the battery and the vehicle compartment tend to run hot. And this can consume as much as 20 or 25% of your battery just getting the car back to normal temperatures. So if the car is garaged all the time, both home and work, and out infrequently in the sun, then go for the black car. Black is the best looking color, but there's a price to pay because it is a pain in the buns because you end up wiping out a lot of mileage in the process. So I would highly recommend that you do some reading on the difference between black and white cars, and then maybe choose a color in the mid-range so there is a penalty, but it's not as brutal as experienced by those that drive the black car. The second issue to consider is tire width. So it turns out that the narrower the tire, your choices are 18 or 19 inches. The narrower the tire, the longer the range you have. The wider the tire, it cuts your range by 5 to 7%, but you get better performance. So again, it's a personal preference thing. I would say I'd encourage you to consider going for the narrow tire, but the wider tire looks cooler, better profile, etc. The third option to consider is you're given choice of enhanced autopilot, and also beyond that you're given the choice of full autonomous options. Now, this is an interesting process. The way this works is if you choose no on both of those, you're going to save $5,000 on the first stage and an extra $3,000 now or $4,000 later on the second stage with autonomous driving. My recommendation is that I really think that it is $5,000, but I think the enhanced autopilot is actually really cool. The particular feature I like about it is that if you're in a slow-moving traffic situation, you can put on your enhanced autopilot, and the car will drive itself and maintain distances without you having to keep pressing on the gas and brake as you inch forward. And I really think this is an energy saver, particularly in cities where there's a lot of traffic and you end up in those driving situations that impact that. If you're not, I mean, there's a whole discussion about whether this sucker works properly or not. I would say it's 70-80% of the way there now after a year of, new updates being sent out. I think it's getting close, but it's still not 100% there where you can trust all the features that it has available. The next consideration is the option, the now $3,000 option of whether or not to get the enhanced or to get fully autonomous. And this is an interesting question because from what the data that's been collected on previous owners, something like 40 or 50% of the people that purchased the car are paying for the enhanced autopilot, even though there's no place that allows you to use it currently. And the theory is that perhaps in 1 or 2 years, they'll be able to get permission for you to use it, but currently that doesn't exist. So, interesting decision making here. Tesla makes the decision a little bit more interesting because what they actually say to you is if you buy it now as you're purchasing your car, you get it for $3,000. If you wait until it's approved to be used, it's going to cost you $4,000 to have it installed by Tesla over the air. Now, I'm of two minds on this. On one hand, obviously you save $1,000, so that's a pretty good return on your money for something that'll be, I guess, useful 2 or 3 years down the road. So that's actually a pretty decent return on money. And on the other hand, that's $3,000 that you could do something else with until then, and maybe an extra mortgage payment or whatever, and use that money. So those are kind of the two options. I'd say if I had my druthers, I'd probably not get it for now because 2 or 3 years from now, it's unknown if it'll ever be approved, but you have the cash sitting out there all that time anyway. The one exception to this is the fact that, particularly if you're an early adopter or an owner, you're part of a revolution that's changing the auto industry. And every dollar Tesla picks up that it has sitting around helps facilitate the dream of the company being successful. So if you want to contribute, if you will, meaningfully to helping this thing work better, I'd say go ahead and pay the $3,000 and, wait until the enhanced autopilot is ready. They can use the cash and they can use the support if you can afford it. Now, there's one other option that not everybody talks about but haven't mentioned, but I currently live in the greater Washington, D.C., Baltimore, Maryland area, but lived near the Tesla factory for about 25 years. And the one option that nobody seems to be discussing heavily is should you fly to California and pick up your car at the factory versus having it shipped to you. So if you've purchased a car and it's allowed to be sold in your state, the delivery will be taken at, with the nearest sort of delivery dealership facility near you, and that cuts out time, headaches, etc. I actually think it's kind of cool to have factory interface. So if you can afford the plane ticket back and forth and to hang out in the Bay Area, I actually think you should consider flying out, visit a couple of the superchargers in the Bay Area, visit the factory, take the factory tour, and then, take some time to interact with some other owners. I think you'll develop a nice group of workers for Tesla along with other owners that are knowledgeable that you can kind of leverage for information on how to better manage your vehicle. This option is good because I think if you like your car, like the whole experience of Tesla, I think it'll be an excellent experience as an owner to be in that position. Obviously, the drawback to it is that once you go pick up your car, drive it around for a while, get to know the area, and other users that own the vehicle, you then have to get it home. So that means you got to drive it long distance or put it on a truck. Now, I don't know the exact numbers, but at least from the Bay Area to Houston-ish, you're looking at about $600, $700, which isn't a huge number. And the question is it worth a better experience in understanding Tesla to travel to California than it is to just wait for it to arrive in your local dealership and go from there? Absolutely. I'd say that the simple thing is wait for it to come to you, but I think that you'll get your car quicker. And I have to admit that I've seen Tesla's shipment process of vehicles, and I did a post regarding how Tesla ships cars. And basically, Tesla has a thing where they put sort of a piece of plastic on the front and back of the car and load it up on a car trailer and then drive it to wherever it's going to go. Same if it was being loaded to a rail. I think that if you waited this long and you paid that much for the car, $600 extra, I think, is not a big deal, because I think you can baby your car and help eliminate, potential problems from the start. The other thing is that I think that what tends to happen with automobiles is that as you're in different areas, sort of, you get exposed to enhancements you won't if you're at your home state or wherever you may be. So you'll meet owners who've done interesting things to their cars or have ideas that will enhance the quality of your ownership experience. So I would say that I'm putting a bet out there. If you guys take me up and you go to California, hang out, take the delivery at the factory, and you don't like it, I will refund you 10% of your experience. Now, the one proviso I have here is that I get to help you choose the restaurants you go to, because after you try the food and possibly if it's in the winter, you go skiing in Tahoe and a few of the other benefits of the Bay Area, I think the vacation part may be better than the car pickup, because it's one of the most beautiful parts of the country. And I think your overall experience is going to be great. So remember, you heard it here first. I'm giving you a 20% rebate on your vehicle shipment if you don't have a good time while you're on the trip to the Bay Area and picking up your ride. Now, the final thing I just wanted to review is that, yes, you're getting configuration zone. In theory, we should be starting production. I would say that it's impressive because if you're configuring now, theoretically end of December, beginning of January is when cars arrive, which is about when we thought it would start occurring. I would say that don't be surprised if it's a little bit later there, because Elon already pointed out that he was looking at March as a target. And so to have this configuration going on now to look 30 to 60 days out for delivery, it seems a little bit fast for me. And so, it might be something to consider. I would say the final thing to consider is take time to watch some of the early delivery videos that are out on YouTube. The reason I say this is that, again, one of the posts that we did was that in the first 30 days of ownership, if you don't carefully wash the car, you will end up with some interesting streaks that are permanently in the paint. The relationship between, I guess, the aluminum they're using and the paint is such that there's a curing time that's necessary. And if the method of washing that you use is not extremely gentle, you will end up with swirls that'll never go away. So you might want to consider that as well. And we may post more in terms of little tips and tricks that people use to optimize the experience of the Model 3 delivery. I want to thank you for taking time out. Once again, this is Greg for Tesla Fan Insight. Tschüss, macht's gut. Au revoir, lehitraot, choda hafez. And please like and subscribe. Look forward to our next conversation. Have a great day, and bye for now.